Hey, welcome guys. Derek James here, and I'm your host today on episode 3 of Fed Biz Opps Live, where I demonstrate how to read and respond to FBO opportunities so that you can grow your very own government contracting business. Shout out to you guys watching on YouTube and those of you listening on podcast as well. Be sure to check the links down in the description for the downloads from today's episode. There will be a link that will take you to 2 different downloads, a capture questions as well as a proposal template, whereas both worksheets we will be filling out as we go. So instead of me just talking to today's episode, you'll get to actually see what I'm looking for in the RFP or the solicitation, and also kind of what I'm pulling on for a proposal template that we're going to lay out in today's episode and will be available to download for you at the end of the episode. On today's episode, we are actually looking at a post-Yellow Ribbon event. I've talked about Yellow Ribbon a number of times in the past in our Facebook group and other places. So when I came across this today, I said, why not? I did take a peek at it. It looks like it's going to be a little bit of a messy one today, but I figured, hey, that's real life. It might make for a good opportunity to look at. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at today, this post-Yellow Ribbon Nashville opportunity. So let's get into it. All right, so let me pull up our worksheets. The first worksheet is capture questions. Capture questions are high-level questions that I like to get answers to right away, in the first 5 to 10 minutes of looking at a bid opportunity, so that I get the answer so that I can decide whether I want to waste any more time on it or not. Time is money, so I like to kind of get some of these answers as quickly as possible. And then the second document is, it's a proposal template outline that we will be changing and adapting, as always, to today's opportunity. But as you can see, I kind of have the basic core of pricing, past performance, as well as a place for a technical response. We have a clickable table of contents, and then a company summary page, as well as a cover page. So those of you guys who are listening, that's kind of what that second worksheet looks like. So let's jump right into it. So we know that this is out of Nashville, Tennessee. Yellow Ribbon, anybody who's not familiar with Yellow Ribbon, it's a Army event or a National Guard event that supports the families surrounding soldiers, mobilization or deployment, going overseas or coming back overseas. Any of you who are part of military families know that, it's a lot that the family has to be filled in on. And so this focuses on having events, and this looks like it's going to be, my guess is it's going to be for a few days or a weekend or something like that. But, I don't want to get ahead. But usually that's how these will look. It'll be like rent us a hotel room, provide food and lodging, audio, visual, conference rooms, that sorts of thing, so that we can do presentations and get the information across regarding the mobilization to the families, and then there can be breakout sessions and questions and answers, and there's a place for the kids. That's kind of what this looks like, and it takes place over a weekend. This is post Yellow Ribbon, so it's probably like a follow-on event of some sort. Mainly the content is probably going to be what's different. However, the layout and the structure of a typical Yellow Ribbon event, it will probably be very similar to it. It just might be shorter or something. So in a nutshell, that's been my experience with Yellow Ribbon and seeing these. What I want to begin doing now is filling out our capture questions. So the first thing we know right off the bat is the solicitation number. And, there's not much that you necessarily do with it, but it's something you don't want to be without. This is posted on October 11th, and the response date is actually tomorrow, October 16th. So they didn't give you a whole lot of time to respond to this. And, obviously the response date is so crucial because it's going to tell you, do you have enough time to get pricings together to, effectively bid this thing. Our set aside is total small business. So as long as you're a small business associated, in terms of your total revenue, in accordance with the size standard of this NAICS code, which is 721110, accommodation and hotels. So as long as you are, small as far as that NAICS code is considered, you are small and you are able to bid on this. Now, as we already said, in terms of writing our little scope snippet here, we're just going to call it what they call it, post yellow ribbon event in Nashville. So as you can see, we quickly filled out these 5 boxes, capture questions. It's very high level information. Some of it's a little bit more, relevant than others, but nonetheless, you kind of need all of it. So now we can start. I did a quick scroll through this, and it looks like they took the entire solicitation and they copied it into the body of the FBO summary page, which is always fun for reading purposes. It's not the easiest thing to read, but the first thing that comes up here after you get past the let me see. I'm always trying to jump ahead, so let me go to the very top and let me start skimming. So the location for the event is preferred, and primary location is for venues located within Nashville. Contingent locations are Mount Juliet, Murfreesboro, Brentwood, and Franklin. And they're telling us it's November 1st through the 3rd. So that's coming up in just a couple weeks here. That's probably why they don't have a very long response date, so that they can evaluate offers and choose the winner, and that way that winner can get the space blocked in. So that they can reserve ahead of time. So they've given us 3 or 4 alternate locations if Nashville is too booked. Vendors may propose in either area, so as long as it does not exceed 50-mile radius. Proposals are due no later than October 16th. We already know that. Evaluation factors are based on technical, price, and past performance, and their ability to meet the requirements of the PWS. So I'll just go back real fast. So as I told you, my proposal template layout consists of, a company summary, profile page, table of contents, cover page, and then the core elements that I put in here, because it's going to be rather all-encompassing, are a technical approach, a past performance, and a section for your pricing. And so as you can see, I haven't even seen this one, and they're just straight out saying the factors are technical, price, past performance. So that's not just something I make up, you guys. Like, it's not just something that I've done because I've done a lot of proposals. It's what you see. It's the government's language. So you're pretty safe if you start out with these 3 elements, and if you have to add something in, you can add to it. Or if the requirement doesn't require something, say like a technical or a past performance, then you can just delete that section out, no big deal. But it's a good place to really build out your skeleton before you even, start trying to write a proposal, because then you can just kind of plug and play, and, by the time we're done reading through all this, we'll be, halfway done with what you would, call, a proposal, because the first half is really understanding what you even need to have included and then building out the skeleton for it. So, we're kind of already halfway there already, because we built those factors in automatically, which I highly recommend that you do as well. Now, if you're looking at RFQs, you're looking at simplified acquisitions. Those are primarily just going to be price, and you don't even need to worry about usually a big proposal response or anything to that nature. So a little different for you guys, but it's just that much easier. But again, I like to give examples that are generalized, that can help a lot of people watching and listening. So, hey, if it's less work than what I've showed you, for what you're bidding on, hey, well, I mean, you learned something anyways, right? It says the government will use the FAPIS/CPARS for past performance evaluations. That's the PEPR system, the past performance retrieval system is what it's called. And the government uses that anytime you perform on a government contract, you get a rating, and then that kind of goes into your book that anybody can take a look at. And so they'll be checking your book for this, it sounds like. But it says, for those with no records, you can still submit up to 5 previous contracts within the last 3 years. So like I always tell you guys, if you don't have existing past performance, don't let that stop you. If you have personal or commercial performance, you can use that, and don't worry about it being in that PEPR's government system. You can still submit it as part of your proposal. So that being said, now we're at to the point, really is where the solicitation would start. As I said, they've posted this on the FBO summary page. So I don't want to try and wade through this because the formatting is all over the place. So I'm going to scroll all the way down, and I see that there's 2 attachments that we have here on FBO. The first one is a request for proposal Excel sheet, which is probably going to be your pricing sheet. And then the second is the solicitation. So those are the only 2 attachments we're dealing with today. I'm going to go ahead and open the first one, the Excel pricing sheet, because it's going to tell us a lot of good information in terms of how they want us to price this. So it's just one worksheet when it opens up, and it's this colorful looking table that the government has already created for us. And they have it broken down into, it looks like some of these important areas that they want to see pricing broken down specifically. So it looks like there's six areas. So the first one is conference rooms, and then there's 4 rows associated with that. Then breakfast, then lunch. So they have meals broken out in 2 different pricing nomenclatures. Then they have audiovisual, and also then they have internet, and then lastly they have your manpower reporting, which a lot of people don't charge any money for. So a quote must be inclusive of all audiovisual and internet charges. Please read the PWS carefully. So we'll keep an eye open on that in case they have special requirements that maybe have a cost associated with them. They're just saying like, hey, you've got to do whatever is required, so make sure you price in accordance with whatever is required, and don't miss something and charge too low of an amount for your audiovisual and your internet. So that is the pricing table. So that tells us really the importance of the elements that they're looking for evaluating. They are letting us know that they have conference rooms available for the 1st through the 3rd, and then they want a breakfast and lunch buffet for the 2nd and the 3rd. So it looks like the first day, it's going to be after breakfast and lunch, and it's probably just going to be you spend the night, probably be spending the night twice, and then on the 3rd day you go home after you're finished. So it's probably what this is going to look like, kind of like a come on a Friday. Well, let me see what the dates are before I start making stuff up. November 1st. What day does that fall on? Yeah, so November 1st actually does end up being a Friday. So they are doing a long weekend here, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, is when they're going to do this post Yellow Ribbon event. So I hope you guys see that this is fairly intuitive. You should be able to wrap your heads around, okay, there's an event that's going to happen at a hotel. It has to have a number of conference rooms. It's got to have, the internet set up. You got to pick a hotel that provides breakfast and lunch. That's how you're going to do this. You're not going to have lunch catered in from the outside, because that would just be too expensive. Usually these hotels, they have lunch and breakfast options available. And usually they even tell you some of the food options that they want, so that it's not a dive. And we'll see that when we look at the statement of work in a minute. Kind of the only other thing that we're missing here is quantities. So not missing, but we haven't discussed. So they want one, in terms of conference rooms, we'll start with conference rooms. They want 1 general session room required for 3 days with seating for up to 225 people. That's the requirement, and they want actually 3 of those. And then conference rooms for breakouts, for adult special interest programs. They're saying 1 requirement is for 3, and they want 9 of those. So that sounds like 27 if you're doing 9 times 3. I'm not sure if they did their math right or not. And then for the next one, 3 conference rooms for youth programs. And then they want 9 of those as well. So again, is that 27 rooms or is it 9? Because they're saying 3 is the requirement, and then they're multiplying that by a quantity of 9. So either they messed up, or I don't know. I'm trying to I would personally ask a clarification question on that, because they're writing the requirement as conference rooms, 3 conference rooms / breakout rooms required for 3 days. Youth programs, 15 each, combination seating. And then it says quantity, 9. So, for those of you guys who can't see it, I'm trying to explain it. And so that's a little confusing. When it comes to pricing, I want to be exact and I don't want there to be any guessing. So I would need to get clarification on that if I were to price this out. And then they want a registration area with a quantity of 3. So they want 3 registration areas to keep lines short, I'm assuming. And they just need that for 12 to 5. So I just, I see at the top of the sheet, they say 80 rooms for event. So that actually might all add up. So if this was 27 and 27, that's 54. 57 and then 60. Yeah, that doesn't add up either. So I don't know, guys. I wish this was more clean cut. Like I told you, I thought this one was going to be a little messy. And hey, it's their numbers. It's not mine. The numbers don't seem to add up. So all I can say is, this is real life. This is what you're going to run into. At this point, you would have to submit an RFI. This particular proposal is due tomorrow. So honestly, this would be a no bid for me. I'd be like, this is too complicated. But if I was looking to bid something like this, I probably would have already had searches set up and I would have seen it, come out the exact day when it actually came out instead of the day before it's due. And I would have submitted a question via email and picked up the phone and called Teresa Baxter on this to ask the question. So they talk about the lunch buffet and everything else is referring to the statement of work. So for now, we're going to close out this pricing sheet and take a look at the solicitation, and we'll read through that and see what other goodies we can find. I just want to say though that we're probably not going to be doing our own pricing requirement for our worksheet. We're not going to do our own pricing structure. We're not going to create a table. So I already have a table pre-defaulted, and I'm actually going to delete it because all we're going to do is use their worksheet, and it'll be attached as an additional attachment to the email submission. And in our proposal, we're just going to ask them to refer to the attached pricing worksheet for the appropriate breakdowns and the total, and that's it. We're not going to add anything into our proposal besides that statement. So I'll just go ahead and write that. So ABC LLC is our dummy company. Offers its pricing in accordance with the PWS statement of work for the post yellow ribbon event Nashville. Please find the attached Excel pricing worksheet provided by the government that includes ABC's pricing for this event 1 November to 3 November. And please see attached. So that's all we're going to do. Just to, have a complete, skeleton or layout here. So now going back to FBO. And real fast, actually, our capture questions, we kind of, is there anything that I can fill out? The place performance, yeah, we know is Nashville or 50 miles. We know the period of performance is 1 November to 3 November. Questions due date is not applicable. Amendments is not applicable. Site visit, we don't know if they had one because we're late to this, so I'll leave that blank. And then we know the contracting officer is Teresa Baxter. So we answered some of these other notes as part of our capture questions. So now we can officially go into our solicitation. Like I said, guys, we're going to fill this out as we go. So it's kind of, as they give it to us is how we have to take it. So we have the solicitation open. And they've notated in red here. Let's see. And, this is just a copy and paste, or I should say the copy and paste job that they put into FBO. It doesn't look like the formatting is too much better. It looks kind of like a hot mess in here as well, but we'll just have to wade through it. They're letting us know the following factors shall be used to evaluate offers, and they're calling out technical, price, past performance, and the SAM record, as we already knew, and then they're talking about the past performance on FAPIS CPARs that we already discussed. So now I'll take an attempt at looking at these requirements that they just blast right into page 2. Guest lodging. Vendor will provide a block of 40 guest rooms, requesting per diem rate. So, okay, they want 40 rooms. Contractor will make available a block of 40 guest rooms for 2 nights each, 80 rooms total for the event. And, this can work into that number that they gave us on the pricing, which was 80 rooms for event. So that's what they're referring to. They weren't even counting the conference rooms. Those 80 rooms, they just meant for lodging. So 80 rooms, 40 per night. So, okay, that's clear. That's clear enough. Guests will check in on Friday and check out Sunday. We guessed that. 30 guest rooms will be reserved for event participants. All right. I'm not sure what they're doing with the other 10 or the other 50. And this is where it starts to get really confusing, where they have all this stuff that makes sense to them, but for us who don't know anything, the contracting officer could really do a better job. Conference rooms, meeting space. Contractor will provide 6 conference rooms to comfortably accommodate guests. Contractor will provide 1 general session conference room, 3 conference breakout rooms. So if we're adding those together, that's already 4. 3 conference breakout rooms designated for youth programs. Okay, now that's 7. So that's not 6, you guys. We have 1 general conference room, 3 conference breakout rooms, and then 3 additional breakout conference rooms for youth programs. So that's 7, and they're saying 6. So, that's another inconsistency of their right up here. Then they're saying registration space. They want you to have 30 vendor tables, chairs, and then a registration area, accessible electrical outlets, etc., etc. So this thing, in my opinion, is just a hot mess. Whoever wrote this, you need to make things more, I'm talking to the contracting officer. You need to make things more clear and organized. It would not be difficult at all. This is very easy to organize, but the way this is written is a hot mess, and it just highly increases the chances of either people don't want to bid this because it doesn't make sense. You're saying 6, but it adds up to 7, or I lost my train of thought because it's such a hot mess, and I'm looking at this and I'm just it's not. You can't even look at it without your eyes going cross-eyed because there's so many bold sections. There's so many bullets here. If you guys can't see it, it's we got highlighted text flying all over the place in different colors, yellow, blue, red. This is. But I'm I want to keep going through this with you guys because this is what you're going to see, and hopefully one day a contracting officer will watch this video and be inspired to make things that are more organized. So that industry, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, industry's not going to want to bid on this because it's such a high risk. Or if they do bid on it, it's not going to be it could be apples to apples because they provided a pricing sheet. But it may be really confusing at how it gets backed into because the whole description here is just gross. Just a really not Not good. Not good, guys. I've seen worse, but this is what I'm saying is this doesn't have to be complicated. You can do better. And I've seen a lot of these, so I have a tolerance and a patience level, and this sucks. So I just wanted to say that. Get my soapbox out there and vent for a few minutes. And, really the real reason I'm doing this is so that if you guys are looking at these things and you're like, what the hell is this? Like, you're not alone, and like, it's quite normal, guys. Like, it's quite normal, so don't lose your heads. Just don't bid on it. And this is one that I definitely wouldn't bid because, unless this was my bread and butter doing these events. And honestly, like, a site visit for this is best because you actually go and you can, find out like exactly, but there's not going to be a site visit, right? Because where are you going to meet? That's your job to propose the location. So again, I don't know. Let me do a control F and see if site visit comes up. They've got it marked as a provision, and that's it. So that is it. So, okay, so we've kind of waded through the description of the requirement, which is a hot mess. Now I'm coming across some clauses, equal opportunity for veterans, more clauses. Then we reach the statement of work. Okay, deep breath. Hey, at least I'm the one going through this, and you guys watching and listening, you can just kind of sit back and you don't have to go through this trouble that I'm going through. So that's why I'm doing it. Security requirements. The contractor shall comply with all applicable installation, facility access, and local security policies. This is going to be off-site, so that's just boilerplate. I don't think that there is any. And they've got reserved written for everything for iWatch. So I'm assuming reserved means it does not apply. They can't really expect us to know what reserved means. That's their language. But if they wanted us to have to do it, they would be giving us the details, and they're not. So they're reserving those details as far as I'm concerned. And so you just keep reading on. So the post-award conference, periodic progress meetings. Again, like, the event is in a couple weeks. There's probably going to be a kickoff phone call, and then you're going to see everybody on site the day of. And like in real life, that's what this is going to look like. So continuing on, so much of it is boilerplate. And then we reach the spot of where the highlights return to us. Contractor will provide the following audiovisual equipment. Okay, well, this is helpful. 2 projector screens, 14 feet, 2 projector screens, and 1 master control soundboard and house system, 2 handheld microphones, and then 1 wireless lapel microphone. So you could approach this in 2 different ways. I mean, hotels that have the conference rooms, and you have to have the conference room. That's not something you can outsource. So it's a requirement for the hotel that you're going to do this with the lodging and the food to have conference rooms. Okay. So what this means to you is that these conference rooms have to have a minimum of these, 2 screens with the projectors and all this, right? Like, you're not really going to, go rent all this equipment, So what you need to do is you need to investigate the hotel, let them know what you need, and then see if there's anything missing. And so if you have to go, pick up a few microphones, or rent, 1 projector or something like that and an extra screen and put it up in the corner, you can do so. And then the rest of it, they're already going to have, and that will be included in their price to you. That's how you're going to treat this. So they want you to have 3 more projectors that are 6 foot smaller for the adult breakout individual sessions, and then 1 DVD player for a childcare room so the kids can watch stuff so that they're not bored in the youth program conference room. So they want you to have that so that the event can function and, go off without a hitch, and they can take care of business that they're, really all there to do at this post-yellow ribbon. So if you remember, they called out this, internet and audiovisual, make sure that you have everything. So we just went through the audiovisual. So now for internet, they're saying the contractor, you will provide wireless connectivity to all meeting spaces and access to 1 Ethernet port, which is from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock each day that you're there. So you need to have access to 1 Ethernet port, and you got to have Wi-Fi. So again, the hotel needs to have Wi-Fi, and if they don't have an Ethernet port, you're probably gonna have to find somewhere that does, because I don't think you can just like bring an Ethernet port. Like, I'm not a tech guy, so I don't know, but my guess is they gotta have somewhere to plug in Ethernet cable so that they can do the stuff that they want to do. So that's their way of saying nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Make sure that your place has this that you're gonna propose. Moving on. Yeah, secret facility clearance, and then it just says reserved. So I'm assuming that doesn't apply to us. More of this red highlighted stuff comes out now, and they're talking about lodging again. 40 rooms, 80 rooms total. We know that much. The rest of it, event coordinator will provide rooming lists. That's fine. Guests will reserve rooms individually. So, you're going to block off a chunk of rooms, and then as people check in, it'll just count against those rooms, and people are going to, register themselves. You don't have to worry about having all of the names. It doesn't sound like. Okay, guys, so we are almost through this solicitation and ready to get down to brass tacks here, looking at what we're going to do for our proposal template. This has been, a little bit of a mess to wade through, honestly, more than I thought, which is probably a good thing because it's a learning experience. I will touch on real quick. I kind of quickly scrolled towards the end, and they're talking about some of the meal requirements. So that's something that I, also mentioned at the beginning of this. For breakfast, they want fruit, muffins, pastries, waffles, pancakes with syrup, eggs, ham or bacon. They want the full spread here. They want all the good stuff. They want 2 meals for 250 people on each day, so a total of 500 people to eat breakfast. And then for lunch, let me see. Are they telling us? Okay, yeah. They want salad, rolls, meat entrees with vegetable choices, bread rolls. Salad is not considered as one of the vegetable requirements. And then looks like they also want dessert and coffee. So more good stuff, guys. This is making me hungry, to be honest. And then they've got a menu for the children. Good to know. And that's about it. That's about it for the solicitation. So we made it through, guys. Take a deep breath. I know I'm going to take one. Okay. This was something to get through. So what comes to mind is, we talked about past performance. Let me go back to our worksheet. Past performance. They told us CPARs or from your proposal. So they do want past performance, and they told us what they want. Pricing, we have the Excel price sheet. For the procurement strategy, they told us, let me find that real quick so I can use the exact verbiage. Yeah, they say technical and price when combined are more important than past performance. And in this case, technical is, just being able to provide the right hotel that is able to provide, all the meals and all the conference rooms and all the audio, video, and internet equipment. That's the technical. Past performance is your past performance. And the pricing is going to be the Excel sheet that they gave us. So for technical, since there's not really they haven't given us a, just everything in accordance with the PWS to meet the specifications for a meeting place. So what we want to do, the technical is really going to be the time that, the area that takes the most time. Bear with me, guys. We've completed the capture questions, so now I'm done messing with that. Now I'm moving over to the proposal template worksheet. Pricing, we've already discussed pricing in this worksheet. As we said, we offer our pricing in accordance with the statement of work for this post Yellow Ribbon event in Nashville. Please find the attached Excel pricing worksheet provided by the government that includes ABC's pricing for this event 1 November through the 3rd. past performance now. We also, we provide the following past performance. I have this templated in here as a sample of 3 past performances and the layout. So all you would have to do is just fill this out. If you're relying on your CPARs and you do have previous government past performance in the PPER system, I would at least write something in here saying to reference that PPER system. But honestly, if it's me doing this, I would include it in here anyways. So I would include that statement, and then I would just call out the specific projects, because they're going to be able to see all of your projects. So in here, I would call out the specific projects that you're wanting, to essentially submit for your past performance. Call those out specifically in here. So either way, in my eyes, you're filling this out for past performance. It's not that hard. You should already have it done. So that leaves us with the technical, and that's going to be, again, like the most time-consuming part of this. This part where there's a resume. I'm taking that out. Staffing plan. I'm taking all this out. We're going to create a new skeleton. ABC is pleased to offer its technical approach to provide, and we're going to have to write over this a little bit, to provide post yellow ribbon event services in the greater Nashville, Tennessee area. Below, please find our ability and proposed location to meet all the requirements in accordance with the statement of work, PWS. So, I kind of just got a boilerplate template in there. Feel free to jazz that up if you want. It's just a little bit of an intro, letting him know, like, hey, we're about to get into this. So now we need to, so I know one thing that's like the most important thing to them is, where is this going to be? ABC proposes XYZ hotel located in Nashville, Tennessee, to host the post yellow ribbon event 1 November through 3 November. Bam. So it's like right out of the gate, you're telling them what you want, or what you're giving them rather. And then we need to break out those things that are those areas that are most important to them. And one way of doing that is taking a look at the pricing sheet again. We know that conference rooms, let me unbold this. We need to talk to conference rooms. Registration area. Breakfast buffet. It's going to be a lunch. Yeah, lunch buffet. Audio, visual, equipment, internet service. So these are the main areas that they've called out, right? So what you need to do is you really need to write to each of these. Like, I don't know. You could even, depending on what you want, like I don't always do pictures, but you could, insert like a picture of the hotel, like let's see, Nashville hotel. It's probably like $1 million hotel that I'm throwing in here. Is it gonna let me expand it? All right. So, you could always include a picture of the hotel, make it look nice. I'll even add in the description, the address for the hotel is blank, so that they know, precisely. So again, those areas, those are very important areas that this is what they're going to care about, quite frankly. And your technical approach is, conference rooms. You need to be able to say, ABC will provide, how many conference rooms are they asking for? Well, we weren't clear on that because, their pricing sheet says one thing, but then their solicitation says, it says 6, but when we add them up, they add it up to 7. So it's, we kind of have to pick something for the sake of argument, and we have to say, we're going to provide 6 conference rooms to come, that we'll see, let's see here, 6 conference rooms, and then you need to break out to include hotel meets I'll read to you what I'm writing. The hotel meets the requirements for the following specifications that have been identified in the statement of work as necessary to host this event. This is kind of like a title that I'm doing. And then for conference rooms, you're going to have to talk about the general session room, breakout rooms, for the youth program, I'm actually going to do a subheading on this. So I hope you're kind of like getting the idea here of how you would go about responding to this. And I'm not going to fill out each one of these because it's just going to be the same process for each. But as you see, I pulled out for the conference rooms, ABC will provide, for the general session room, for example, we're doing they want it to seat 225 people. They want it to have a podium, provide a conference room that seats 225 people comfortably, that has a podium, American flag, table for handouts, and etc. Again, I'm not going to scroll it all out here, but so this is what you would do for each one. You're kind of going to, this is a part, and you don't always do this in proposals, but for this one, you kind of have to. You have to parrot back the PWS a little bit. And this is just, how you're going to create your technical. So you have to do this for each area. And, if you've done this before, you probably have some stuff written up. Or if this is, the industry you're in, you probably already have something written up to write to some of these areas. So it could be a bit of a copy and paste. So this is, how I would go about attacking that technical section. Like what they said, technical when combined with pricing is more important than past performance. So if you haven't done this before, honestly, you could get in the game. I mean, it's not going to be that hard to rent out some hotel rooms for 80 rooms for a couple of days and make sure that the hotel provides food and again in our pricing the pricing worksheet is just going to be attached, but I'm not going to I'm not going to attach that or fill that out because that's pretty, we already went through that a little bit and it's rather self-explanatory. But this is all you would really need to do for your technical. I would talk about the, the hotel or the area that you're going to be hosting this at, provide some of the specific details on it, and then call out each of those specific areas that they are addressing as important in the pricing cleanse and on the the solicitation statement of work in all this red that they've so pleasantly called out. So that's that's about it. I hope this makes sense. We've completed our capture questions here for the most part. Site visitor amendments don't really apply. And then for our template, we're pretty much done with it. I guess I could go ahead and update some of the details here. What is this? Yep, it's post yellow ribbon. Just gonna go ahead and kind of fill out this cover page. I kind of did it backwards today. 3912. So this is where you would put your solicitation number. And I'm just, there's people from all walks. So if you've never done one of these before, I mean, you may have a lot of the simple, more basic questions. And so that's why I'm showing you, at each step of this, because you could just have one of the most simple questions that could keep you, from submitting. And I don't want that to be the case. Attention, Teresa Baxter. And she's, 30. You want to give her contracting office address, which is a P.O. box. So P.O. box 40748 Nashville 37204. So we'll update the date here. You would fill out your primary contact and your socioeconomic status and all this to the post. So I'm filling out now on page 2 on the company profile, ABC LLC. Offers response to the post yellow ribbon event in the greater Nashville area. And this is for, I saw that this was for the Air Guard. You would want to double check if it's for the Air Guard or the National Guard. I'm going to do the Air National Guard. Just double check on that. So again, we repeat some of the information. This is W912 L720Q 0508. And then our next code was 721110. For hotels and accommodation. And then again, contracting was Teresa Baxter. And we'll include her point of contact. Teresa.a.baxter. .civ at mail.mil. And then her phone number is 615. We're almost through this, guys. 615-2658. All right, so now on our last little paragraph here. changing out some of the information. And I like to include this, bit of an introductory paragraph because it's the first part of your proposal where you kind of get, personal is not the word, but you actually start talking, because before this it's just the cover page and then your company information. So this is a, really introduction to your proposal where you're just calling out bang, like, hey, I'm just responding to the solicitation. This is my socioeconomic status. Our, NAICS code is updated to meet this opportunity, so that, they're dealing with somebody, so that contracting knows that they're dealing with somebody who knows what the heck they're doing. And then lastly, please find our proposal to include, and in this case, it's our technical, past performance, and pricing. And then I'll just put pricing attached so that they know to look for that. So something like this is, it's rather so simple, but I like to, talk about these details, because from a reader, it's you're kind of giving them everything. Like just this one sentence saying, please find our proposal to include technical, past performance, and price. Well, that lets contracting know, that lets Teresa Baxter know that, okay, well, they're giving me everything that I need. And that seems overly simplified, but you wouldn't believe that the number of bidders that do not, that submit proposals or responses that don't give what is needed for the requirement, and then they get thrown out. So that's just one simple sentence. It's just so basic, but you've put some of these things in here along with the NAICS code and the socioeconomic status. Like if this was a woman-owned set-aside, you'd have to be woman-owned, but then you call that out so that they're not even questioning, like, well, is this company even, qualified to bid on this, because they have to go through those early filters. And so, in the back of their head, first impressions is everything. This really ties into your first impression through your proposal. If you're organized and you're upfront in a way, just like we're being upfront, about this hotel, letting them know, it's within the 50-mile radius, and that it can, do everything that they want it to do and more in accordance with what they told you in the statement of work. And here's how. And then you go on in your technical approach, and you go on and you tell them how. And then your past performance, you let them know, hey, I've done other stuff before. This isn't my first rodeo. And then, in your pricing, take a look at the pricing worksheet. You didn't interject anything new. You didn't try to make your own pricing template. That's just going to confuse them, and they're going to have to match things up. Instead, it's like, okay, I'm giving you nothing. Instead, look at the pricing, Excel sheet that you gave me that I filled out exactly like you wanted me to. And that's all I did. And that's just perfect. Sometimes less is more. So that's it, guys. That really is it. I hope you got value out of this. If you guys are new, if you're new to me, I'm Derek James. If you'd like to get a copy, free download of my book, Winning Government Contracts, this is actually where I share my personal GovCon journey to winning 32 federal government contracts worth over $15 million. I have that as a download, and you'll find links to everything in the description of the video or the podcast, depending on what you're listening to or watching today. But if you're interested, I also have GovCon courses. You can also check those out in the links. As well, one thing I really recommend if you're not yet is our Facebook group community. It's a closed group, and we've got almost 400 members in there right now. And again, it's not just about me, kind of like the podcast and the YouTube channel is about me. The group is about everybody in the group. So, there's lots of, questions, being asked and answered, and, it's a community. So if you find yourself looking for a resource, that's free and that maybe you can network, you can find subcontractors, or if you're a subcontractor and you're looking to bid work, there's a lot of that. This community, I highly recommend that. And again, I think there's one link in the description that takes you to all of these different things. But again, lastly, if you'd like the copies of today's capture questions and proposal template, this what we just filled out, it'll be totally editable. There's a separate link for that, and I make that available after each episode for a small donation to the show, so that I can keep doing these episodes and growing the FBO live show. I appreciate all of your guys' support. So that's it for me, guys. Do something today that you will thank yourself for tomorrow. Be blessed, And until next time, we'll see you guys.